Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with another show me how you practice video. I'm really enjoying doing these as I love to teach and I love to kind of share what's helped me along the way, as well as how I can maybe inspire others to share what they're doing, or even just finding new ways to kind of connect with their decks. So in my previous 2 or 3 videos, I believe, I don't even remember how many I've done of these, I kind of talked about how I use my tarot deck for specific things, such as like my ancestral grimoire, and then also for my shadow work journaling. I like to keep different journals for what I'm doing. That's just something that really helps me, just to kind of connect a little bit more. And I do use different decks. I don't always just stick to the same old decks. There are decks that I specifically use just for clients, and there's decks that I feel a deeper connection with. The Halloween Tarot is one of them. I also love to use, I'm going to grab it real fast, the Ethereal Visions tarot deck. I have the indie print version of this. I have used I do use the Relative Tarot as well. And then I do have like the Fountain Tarot and the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot that I really like to kind of lean into. I'm going to try to grab it. It's all the way in the back of my shelf because I haven't really been reaching for it recently. So I would say like these 3 decks are decks that I typically use for my practices for myself, on top of the other ones that I use specifically for other things. And I will make another video talking about some of the other decks that I use for other practices. But if you only have one deck, use what you have, use what works for you. I just prefer to have different energies that I can kind of tune into. So today I wanted to talk about manifesting, and how I use my tarot decks for manifesting and things like that. So I do like to have, like I said, different journals that I can kind of use, and try to kind of do different practices. One of my favorite things is using like scripting to kind of connect to that sort of energy and kind of script what I want in my life. I like to draw and do little things and then do like success maps as well to kind of redirect my energy. So that's kind of what I do. And I also like to use my tarot cards in this practice, and I like to make sigils. So I have like different things here that I've written about. I like to use different affirmations and such. And so like here, it's like I have a tarot card, and I kind of use that as an inspiration to do a spread and ask myself different questions to kind of see like what's going on with my work and what do I need to focus on, as well as trying to kind of like tune into that energy a little bit more. So I have not really been super consistent with this manifestation practice. I did start it earlier this year. Work has been crazy, so I'm currently actually trying to find other ways to kind of bring a little bit more balance in between my muggle life, so to speak, and my magical life. So other ways that I like to kind of utilize my decks for manifesting, so to speak, is I like to do actual like abundance altars or prosperity altars throughout the year. And I like to make prosperity or abundance oil. So here is one that I made probably like a year ago, maybe a little bit longer. And so I made a ton. And so when I had it sitting there, I had the altar kind of set up with the actual bottle to kind of charge it. And so I use different tarot cards to kind of imbue that altar with that energy. So I use like the Queen of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles. I also utilize like the Ace and the 10 of Pentacles cards to kind of lay those down underneath the cloth that I put on top of it with different crystals. I use a money bowl. So I'm sure that if you've looked at other things on my channel, you've seen me kind of put together a money bowl. So I put together my money bowl. I haven't burned another candle on here. I need to get some more. Things like that. So I just kind of charge that. And then I also use like fresh basil water. So recently since I'm trying to kind of harvest different things, I have a lot of basil. I will boil some basil in some water for about 20 minutes, kind of like a basil tea. I wash my front door. I wash the area where I'm setting up the altar for my prosperity or abundance. I write out what I want. I use a manifestation journal to kind of focus that energy intentionally, daily. Pulling cards from the deck. Usually I will just take out just the pentacles out of a deck and kind of focus on what of the pentacles energies do I need to focus on in order to truly charge that. Now, to make an abundance oil like this one, I use the recipe from Bossy Bruja. So olive oil, you boil it with cinnamon. I did star anise, cloves, cinnamon, cayenne, things like that, just to kind of really put a lot of power and potency into the oil. And then I let it just kind of rest for about 8 weeks. I feel like that gives it the most potency, and then you can dilute it as needed. I don't use it on the skin or anything like that. I use this for candles. I use it for my bowls. I use it for, kind of charging my actual altar. I'll put it like on the pages of my manifestation journal, or like when I was like painting things, I'll kind of add it to some of the paint I'm using. So I just do different things like that to kind of imbue that abundance, prosperous sort of energy towards me, and to kind of utilize it in different ways. Other things that I tend to do for manifesting in my own practice is charging and actively using my money bowl. So I keep different things in here. I try to clear it out, reset it, redo it. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done it, so I do really need to redo it and kind of get it all set together. I use bay leaves to kind of direct the energy that I need. So different things like that. And why I like using certain tarot decks to kind of connect to this energy is that I feel sometimes I can use different spreads to kind of help me feel a little bit more focused in my intention and what I'm doing with that at the current moment. So whether it's asking about career changes, whether it's asking about, it's been a while, so this one's like the Magician finally. I will focus my intention on if I'm applying for jobs, like if I'm, applying for the right sort of job, asking as far as like what will happen within my career, what will happen with different financial changes, what can I do to kind of call in abundance. So I will focus depending on whatever's going on. So if I were to just kind of do an example here, so it's funny that the Magician came out, if I'm like, okay, what should I do with my current career? We have Judgment. So it is a card of transformation and rebirth, and essentially kind of being judged for what we've done. I feel like, if anything, it's kind of telling me that maybe it's an opportunity to kind of initiate and welcome in a sense of rebirth and new connection. So should I look for a new job? I got the Ace of Swords. So I need to get really clear on what I'm looking for, what I'm trying to do, what I'm valuing at this time, and really kind of walk into new doors and maybe even open myself up to the possibilities of new things kind of opening up for me. Now, I just kind of was focusing on what's going to happen next, and I got the Wheel of Fortune, so things are changing. And so that's always nice to kind of see that, even as I'm just kind of thinking about the situation and how it's going to look for me, I'm getting a little bit of guidance from my cards. And I don't always ask a specific question. I just kind of pull intuitively and kind of see what feels good. Maybe, again, whenever we're making life changes, it can feel very scary. It can feel a little bit overwhelming in some way. So if I'm like, what's currently blocking me, the 10 of Swords reverse. I do tend to kind of overthink and overanalyze. I have had some fears about what this is going to look like with me leaving so quickly. So that does make sense for me, is that maybe I'm hesitant to leave and I'm the one that's kind of keeping myself stuck, because I don't want to burden anybody else with the things that have happened. When will the change come? So I here have the Tower. Great. So the Tower can typically represent this energy of the unexpected. It can feel like there's going to be some sort of breakdown that allows a breakthrough. Maybe because I am a little bit stubborn, this is kind of advising me that I need to stop trying to leave on my own terms, that maybe I just need to say enough is enough. Let me move on. Let me not continue doing things in this manner. Now, I do know that the Tower is also ruled by the energy of Uranus. So we do have this kind of energy of things are maybe going to happen a lot faster than I had anticipated or am anticipating them to be. It will be a major change. As a Taurus, I will say I don't really like that right now, but I do feel so defeated. I do feel so exhausted. I do feel very drained by the things that have been happening. And it does look like a new opportunity that feels emotionally better is coming my way, as well as an opportunity to feel like this change is something that is a little bit more aligned with what feels right for me and who I am in general as a person. Because this is the Page. This is the Page of Cups. It's a little bit more like that romanticism, that kind of naive, childlike wonder, and maybe even being able to focus on things that speak a little bit more to my inner child than what I have been doing. So that's kind of how I would do a little spread. And typically I like to kind of sit down and write what cards I got, kind of what I was like focusing on, what I'm kind of taking away from these cards, and why, the Magician popped out initially, things like that, or why these other three cards kind of popped out even as I was talking about these other things. So I just think it's nice to take some time out. I don't always take a lot of time out for my own personal practice, but it is something that I do try to do at least once a week, where I can just kind of check in on different areas of my life. And that's why I use different decks. I think it's nice to kind of see, are there repeating messages? Are there, cards that are coming out of each of the different decks that I'm using? Is there something that maybe is like similar in a lot of them? So if I'm like seeing a lot of swords, if I'm seeing a lot of pentacles or a lot of cups, it's like, what's going on in those areas that maybe I need to focus on so that I can really redirect my energy for that week. So for me, because I have two swords and then I have two cups here, I would definitely have quite a few major cards, is maybe understanding that I'm here to alchemize different things and to bring everything together and to have a spiritual awareness of these major changes and big things that are trying to kind of happen. But maybe I have been overthinking and overanalyzing and a little too emotional about the changes and how they're coming. And so it's made me very tired. It's made me feel not so driven. So that's kind of how I would do a little spread like this. And while you're probably like, what does this have to do with manifesting? I feel like having a connection to yourself is going to be the most abundant tool that you can tune into when you are trying to do manifestation magic. So having a clear picture about who you are, where you're at, what's going on, what is kind of your story in this current time frame, and what is going on presently will allow you to see, are there some blockages? Here I can see my blockages. I can see what's holding me back. So as much as I may script and do oils and abundance altars and all these other things, if I'm not dealing with some of these challenges that are holding me back, if I'm not actively pursuing that balance between myself and the external, it makes it very challenging for me to say, I'm trying to manifest, I'm trying to write these things, I'm trying to like focus on the good. If there are anxieties about changes, if there's, things that are holding me back because I'm afraid of judgment, or if I'm afraid of just flowing with things because I'm so tired of just trying to go with the flow. So it's, to me, significant to have an understanding of like what else is kind of affecting your current situation. And this can be something to reflect on within your relationships, within yourself, within your journey, within, your work or your purpose. A lot of us may not even always have the self-awareness within ourselves to say, okay, I see where this is a limitation that is keeping me from being able to manifest what I'm looking for. So I can look back at what I've written and what I was trying to manifest for myself, and maybe I have manifested those things. But that doesn't always mean that just because I wanted it at one point that it's something that I always have to want. And I think having a manifestation journal or a manifestation practice that you're constantly checking back in with yourself and seeing, is this something that I still value? Is this something that still resonates with who I am? Is this something that is still bringing me the energy to continue forward? Because I feel like whenever we're in alignment with things that feel right for us or feel good for us, everything feels like it moves with ease. There's a lot less of that resistance. And right now, I kind of feel like I'm in a lot of resistance. I'm either being pulled back like the arrow, I'm about to just shoot straight out into the next thing, or I am the one putting up a lot of resistance to being released and kind of moving forward. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you guys do any sort of manifestation practice, if it's something that you had considered you could do with your cards. And you can use other cards. I just like to use tarot because I feel like their language is blunt enough for me to get it. I have had money and magic affirmation cards. I've had, money decks and things like that are great. But to me, I always kind of go right back to tarot. It just speaks the language to me that is just like, boom, this is what it is. Get after it. So I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me. Please take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. Bye.